looking it up, and then I was seeing the Berlin Conference. Is there any movies that's out that demonstrate any of that?
Because it's covered up under Ottoman.
I'm gonna show you something. Never saw this before. I'm gonna show y'all this. I'm gonna show y'all something. Watch this. Check this out. People argue like Reggie and them. They argue about the wars, right? Them dudes is crazy, man. They don't have no clue on what they're talking about. Look at this. Okay, this is the Moors, right? Now, my boy from Ghana said that's how you spell the word Moor in Ghana. M-O-R-I-E. This is Italy.
Oh yeah.
Right? This is the four Moors that's in Italy. Right? This is over in Italy. See, this is the four Moors. This is them hand and chain. So what people do, four Moors, they symbol of Italian. Right? So they would go into the pictures in front of this. They have a ceremony, a fountain of the four Moors in Italy. Like, I'm sitting here, I got this other article, right? It speaks about Plecker. And Plecker talks about how Moor is not a race, it's a nationality. Hold on, let's see if I can find it for you. So I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to find the article. This is a good book. This book is like, this book, I got it in the car, Portuguese in West Africa. It speaks about the Moors through the whole book. Right? It costs $100 and something. Yeah, check out Dr. Plecker. Check out, this is Dr. Walter Plecker, right? The head of vital statistics. Look what he said here. Plecker, right? Plecker writes copies of these certificates cannot be furnished, right? When he says, right? He says, Plecker writes that the authors rejected a certificate that did not recognize Moors as a race but a nation. This is Dr. Walter Plecker. This is the shit people can't even find. This is like 100 and something in the file. This is how far, it's 106 in the file. So people say that we're not Moors. All this is documented by him. We only know about what he said about the Indians. But this right here will show you, and I wish we were recording this, so you can hear this. But this is, so we want to argue about the Moors, like he was here. So I don't understand these
I just looked up the four Moors in Italy, and the Ottoman popped right up.
See? What did you say? Why? We got about the Ottoman. They know who we are in Italy. But we don't talk about that. Then you got these cats that want to argue about us not being Moors. Like they got this now, this other dude with the ponytail on the side. Suit. Heck, whatever his name is. Boy, he do with the ponytail, that should be up. Talking about the Moors. He's the Moor Slayer. I can't think of his name. It's where they have the Egyptian name. What's that matter now? You know, when you go to San Andreas, the guy he's talking about the Moors. He's saying he calls himself the Moor Slayer. Coming to slay the Moors. That's what he's talking about himself.
Right.
Her father yesterday said something to me. And then he was talking about the alphabet. The oldest alphabet was in Ethiopia. He talked about that. Her father said the oldest, like the pyramids that's in Ethiopia, the oldest pyramids in Egypt. Her father was saying that about Ethiopia.
But the ones in America are older. I mean, in Central America are older than America.
Yeah. But to hear her father say it, and he don't even know what we be talking about. So yesterday, you know, but for hear it, I would have sat there and listened to him. Okay, I got that. I like that. But he brought that up yesterday, you know. And that's why I said we're trying to make this connection with Ethiopians and us. How we're one.
We all want concept is wrong to go of the land. Just like people think that, Hebrew or Hebrew is a people and identity because what we did was the river. Because that's the difference. I mean, that difference is not based in liberate, it's based in what you call service.
Well, yes. So that's why it is. So when you've done your own personal research, right, on your own path, and as you continue, things that are things that are published aren't necessarily factually published, right?
Exactly.
So that's why I'm asking you to use your vetting, your process to determine
Well,
whether.
It's cameras.
Two things I deal with. Fundamental Spanish, when you do research, you find out that all the contemporary politics is based or rooted in the Spanish system. Spanish Inquisition is the Inquisition against the Moors, so the Yahudi, who was called Moors and Jews, both of them killed them. William Cycle, the Omniverses, Romanus Pontifex, and the Pejorative Meaning. Sister Puberty Act of 1666, collectively, those five rules comprise what they know as the doctrine of discovery.
Still like, what the hell?
Yeah, I was like, what was that?
No,
You could record something with your phone. I don't know.
that the rule of operation is used for taking the English speaking lands and properties.
Was these five?
Called the doctrine of discovery, but it comprises of that. And once you start looking at the history, even with the totality of these operations here, and you go back to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and the Rockland Province, the longest running treaty. So when you look at these things, any scholar can't miss these things. And if they avoid them, it's because they're insincere. Or they have some other agenda. Meaning these are meaning that you don't have to be deliberately looking at Moorish history. You look at world history and you run into it by default. And so when people deny it, you know they got a protocol agenda.
That is true. Everywhere you go, it always somehow leads into a more. Where you go here.
The book that I have, Mac, I'm telling you, the book, it was $3. You go online for the book. It's $100 and something, but it's on sale for $72. It speaks about the Moors in Guinea. It speaks about the Moors in Ghana. It speaks about the Moors in Cape Verde. Oh, I'm showing you the book. No matter what you look at, you're gonna find it leads back to the Moor. So when I was in Houston, this guy, he's a doctor, claiming me. He said, "You silly Dr. Houston did not mention all of us were Moors." That doesn't mean anything, but if she did say we were Moors, it's called the Kushite, Ethiopian Kushite Empire, or something like that. But he said that she didn't call us Moors in India. And I said, yes, they are Moors in Sri Lanka, in southern part of India.
Go right. See, when they even say that, there's another thing. Go look at ancient Pejorative, Sunday, which is now called Hindustan, a couple thousand years ago. Mauryan dynasty, Nanda, Gupta dynasty, Moorish dynasty. Everybody knows that. I mean, come on. One of the things you discover, a lot of people, in my estimation, they're compromised by either a 501c3 Stone Bones agreement, or they know that the Moors has been under attack by Europeans and they punk out and then act like, do the Punta Kente thing.
But I was telling her too, I told her, like, in her house, she could start the same day we did in Camden, New Jersey. We used to be in it till God knows when. Straight up. Like, start at 7 in Camden. We, man, packed. We didn't do that joint, like, man, till whenever. Straight up. And that's that's how it was. But we had books and everything lined up the same way. So yeah, we got that. That's why it started. Wherever you at, even the young sister that I have, 16-year-old that's in Atlanta, she ready to start classes. 16, sharp. She's born. She could listen to the radio show since she was 14 years old. She's 16. We hear this girl talking, we like, man, she was like, what? And girl's tight. She's born. She's teaching her parents there. Her parents came out to see Out of Darkness in
LA.
in Atlanta. They came to see Out of Darkness.
They're the girls out of it.
She's in Atlanta. But I was there Wednesday, showing Out of Darkness, and they all came out. But it was good though, man. Everywhere we showed the film, like yesterday, they was loving it, man. A lot of people love that film. They love it. So,
When we hit the next one,
yeah, cause
we want to do more control.
like you with Marathon, like we want to film this stuff here, man. Like film all the stuff up there on Market Street.
So that's a norm. So we're gonna keep contact. Refine and determine our time to really get this thing done.
Yeah, cause what we're gonna do,
More is what I also, so I didn't know that there was
I'm leaving.
any grounded position. You know what I mean? And then of course, as soon as you look at things etymologically, anything that turned black was adjective. And then traced to Old High German, it actually means pale. So when scholars call people, black guys are saying pale guys. Now a scholar knows that that's what they're saying. A non-scholar takes it from its connotative perspective presented by Carlos Linnaeus and Frederick Johann Blumenbach for the U.S. Census Bureau for control purposes. This is another reason because Portuguese in West Africa. Oh yeah.
Now, do this whole book.
And they charge you $100 something for this book?
No, we gotta know it's online for that price.
Oh.
But we paid $3 for this.
Yeah.
See, it says the Moors Cedars in here. Moors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you flip like two, we go to it speaks about Cape Verde, right? This is all West Africa, right? So it's talking about the Moors in Guinea, where Angola's at, lower part of Ethiopia. Yeah. Yeah. So let me show you. Look at this, Taj. Right. This is the Wolof, right? This is West Africa. This is Senegal, right? See, it says where the men and women wore Moor shoes. This is in West Africa, so it's the Senegal, Guinea, Ghana, all
the whole
those
area.
They still were Moors. And that's why I said cats don't read other books.
No, it's not that they don't. They know that. See, this is sis. You know what I recognize? This is what I recognize, and when I say, a lot of times when we're talking and you say they don't know or they don't understand, or you say I don't understand how they can take a position, and I tell you, you do understand. And what I'm really saying is, by now you should have shed all your naivety and stop thinking that these scholars don't know. They're COINTELPRO operatives, or they're bought off. It's that simple. It is not unlike, honestly, like say if you have say a bunch of elementary school children, and you're having these kind of conversations with them, and lacking certain exposure, and because they're young, that excuse goes. People who are socially involved, who go around lecturing, claim to be doctors and scholars and stuff, fucking with people and taking their finances and shit, and you start saying they don't know, no. You're wrong for even saying that. It is not unlike this. You know that building was new since you was here.
Yeah.
Now, and it's not unlike up on Catherine Street, right? Before you left there were some things that was going to be done, some work that you was planning on doing if you was going to go back there. it is not unlike you and me remodeling a building, right? And you're not as familiar, say, with plumbing or electric, right? And I'm doing that. And we're working together for 3 or 4 years. And then you talk about you don't know anything about this stuff to somebody. And they buy it. They're full of shit. You're full of shit if you say so. Do you understand? See, because this is what occurs. No different than, because and one of these one of the reasons I always take this position. When I was 8, and I had a couple of Bibles when Prince James was Prince, before he was King James. And in the beginning, when Prince James was oxymoron, right? There was about 3 pages that were in your older books, even in the earlier books, even when he was King James, but particularly in the Prince James books. The adulation that is given to Jesus now in the churches was given to Prince James. They took them 3 pages out, and then the churches pumped the Jesus thing. But at first, it was given to Prince James for rulership by God, appointed to rule over England, Ireland, and Scotland. I'm telling you, I know it now. This is the point that I'm saying to you. Anybody that is any type of a minister that deals with these books, we ain't talking about club members that quote things or Paul Parrot type things. We're talking about anybody that's on that pulpit that got these books, that get their LLDs and their ecclesiastical degrees and all this stuff, and they don't know, because when I was 8 and a half, I knew that the official name of Christianity is the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed. Now, I knew that was out 8 and a half.
The original was Tawahado.
Yeah, but I'm just saying to you, no.
Here.
Yeah, but no, I'm not talking about the Krishna degrees that belongs to us. I'm talking about the Constantinian adaptation of it, which is called Christianity, which is the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed that's presented as Christianity.
Okay.
Now, the point that I'm making is all scholars know this. And so when you have these so-called...
left their card go?
Yeah,
That's why.
When you have these so-called scholars that sit around talking about, helping our people and helping the community, and they're having church fundraising and stuff like that, and their families in the church and their uncles, the minister, and blah, 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 and start talking about they're working in the interests of our people, they're lying their asses off. Because number one, it has nothing to do with no Jesus, although we know Jay didn't come into the language to 1500s. That's another thing I knew when I was about 10. So all these kind of things. And we're talking about default information. We're not talking about where, you're digging to learn, because I just read because my dad read, not because I was trying to do anything. Because what we do, like if you cook soup, children eat soup because you cook soup. It's not because they like soup and they might learn to like it, but it's default. And I'm saying there is so much information about ancient civilization and religion itself. Even though it's been neutered and colored, no scholar that claims they don't know that the official name of this creed that they're called Christianity, that's clubbed through all these so-called Asiatic communities, and they was raised Christians, and they keep trying to justify themselves, and they got Reverend Jones and Reverend Ike and Reverend Bullshitsky Dorf, all these Negro pillow guys, whatever. They know it's the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed, but if they tell the name, it becomes obvious that they're worshiping Constantine and his mother. And they know it too. Now, they also know that 501c3 is a skull and bones agreement. It's a kickback for them to keep not to rock the boat.
Yeah.
It was set up by Lyndon Baines Johnson to control marching Negro leader guys. this is we ain't talking about deep scholarship. We're talking shallow scholarship.
Exactly.
Don't even look for it by default. It's there. Now, when we keep saying, you know, because sometimes the opposition is so unreasonable, you know, illogically unreasonable, and so unjust, we have a tendency to forgive them by saying, oh, they're crazy or they don't understand. No, you don't understand. You don't get it yet. Every once in a while, Europeans will say to us this, when they get tired of our bullshit, marching and praying and creating a bunch of confusion, when we get frustrated, then they'll stop, take a deep breath and say, why don't you all leave us alone? Why don't you go deal with your black leaders who keep selling y'all back into slavery? How about that? How about that?
Untold me that.
No, but I'm just saying, but they're telling the absolute truth, but and first thing our people say, oh, they're racist. They don't want the black man, and they start that stuff. I'm serious. And then we make excuses for them. They don't understand. Yes, the hell they do. We keep making excuses for people because they're Asiatic and Africans, as if they ain't sellouts, overseers, COINTELPRO operatives, because we don't expect that from them. And because they be out there in the venue. You know and I know. What, 94, 95, 93, 94, 95. Me and Hannibal went up there and nationalized. You know what I'm saying to you? I don't knock them. Let them do what they do. You know what I mean? I don't even battle with them. I just keep it moving and keep taking it to the people. And knowing that as the people get this information, they themselves, some of them same people that's been playing them and dragging their lives out, when this stuff could have been solved, we're going to be hanging from these damn trees, including a lot of them reverends. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, when to keep yourself in check, every once in a while, just pull up the synopsis of COINTELPRO operations to remind yourself to stop being naive and stop making excuses for these Negro leaders, because they're not. It's almost like the freaky gym teacher that keeps caressing your little girl's buns at the gym class, and you're saying he doesn't understand what he's doing. When
He laughed.
no, I'm just saying this is what we keep doing, rather than taking him and changing or rearranging his head.
Yeah.
Do you know, like he's Asiatic? Oh, well, maybe he didn't really mean it because he ain't European or something. I mean, it's like, stop making excuses for these people. They know exactly what the hell they're talking about. Brother, Malcolm X thing the other day, right at the park, right? What do you think?
I heard about it. My friend that's seen me, he was like, "Yeah, I wanted to talk to Taj," and then he texted me and said he actually had a conversation with you.
It was packed. But point that I'm making, one of the brothers that's usually in Harlem with Reggie now, you know, he said, I want to, brothers to get together and stuff, man, and see, because everybody talking about Reggie and stuff like that, being a professor and stuff like that when he was coming at you in New York, justifying it. I said, I'm not offended about any of this stuff. I'm thick-skinned. You know what I mean? Because I ain't in it for ego. I'm in it for a whole different game. I'm looking head and back. You know what I mean? I'm looking at the next generation. I ain't even, they can't do, I can't be bought. Simple. Anyway, so I said to him, now look, let's stop the bull. Any scholar knows, and this is basic scholar stuff, so you already know, all right, is it not a rule, a basic rule, that anybody that gets any kind of serious degree must learn basic etymology?
Should be.
Basic grammar, because that's third grade stuff.
Yeah.
8 parts of speech, huh?
It's like great.
Yes, transferring language from another language, looking in a basic dictionary, and it has the italics right after the word that shows you it's part of speech. Then it has the brackets, which is the etymology. Then it has an appendix where you can go trace words. I mean, basic scholars do that. Writers do that. Now, if you're talking to some little grade schooler or something like that, elementary school, and they're not sharp on this stuff because they've been under control, you can excuse them.
I know they shut the gallery down.
Thano doing filming and stuff like this, right? And then we're trying to rationalize he doesn't know anything about films or digital stuff.
Exactly.
But yet he's going, and it's the same thing when we keep on making excuses for these so-called black scholars and professors that's been in the circuit, that's been studying any kind of books, and a lot of them try to use Dr. Ben. When Dr. Ben even did film, said he didn't even get he didn't even complete his education until he went to the Moorish universities in Spain.
Yep.
And then they
Dr.
try to.
Ben was Ethiopian.
Yeah. And then they try to say,
He's a black man. What you trying to say? That he is lying?
Taj is funny. Taj is funny.
Guys, I'm telling you, they're full of real shit. Maggot doo-doo. Really. And the deal of it is, I just don't take them serious. Because it's like this. This is what it's like. Excuse me just a minute. You know how like if you worked at a doo-doo plant for years? First year, first couple of weeks, you're really determining whether you're going to stay there or not. And you're looking for other options. And then, other options aren't there, so you hang around for a minute, and after a while you get used to the smell. And then after a while you get used to the boots, and you start walking. You learn certain ways you walk and certain ways you don't walk. And this is the same thing with these guys. You be out dealing with this issue for a while and learning the real history, looking at COINTELPRO operations, looking at FBI papers, stuff that exposed. Then none of this stuff surprises you. You're no longer naive. These guys are COINTELPRO, but you're not going to argue with them because they're still your brothers. You leave the gates open. You just try to liberate the people without arguing with these people because you know that they're on a mission. They're being paid to do this. They're being paid to create divisions, what is called militarily schismata. They're paid to commit schismata. They're paid to. And when you think that they don't know that these people are Moors, and you really think that, you're naive.
Keep trying to tell my son he's a Moor, he don't know.
Because a scholar, I'm talking about maybe children, maybe, but any scholar knows it because as soon as you go into world history, go into military, because you already know how research is done, right? What does the researcher do? What do researchers do? Sociologists do. Do they look at immediate records? No. They go to your older references. They go to older libraries. They go to your 1600 and 1700 books, and they go to war records. That's a standard around the world for research, right? As soon as you even smell it, you don't even need to dive in the pool. You start finding Moorish history. Default. I mean, you don't have to be looking for it. It's there. So when a scholar tells you that these people are black and they're a scholar, now another scholar, they may, people have a tendency to always want to forgive their so-called black leaders. Scholar knows that they're full of shit. They're COINTELPRO operators. They're overseers. How you take it one way or another, irrelevant. It's who they are. Don't get angry because it'll burn you out. Accept them just like, like we get out the car, oh, somebody's walking their dog. So you walk this way. First few times you're a little upset. After a while you start tiptoeing through tulips because it's like it what it is. And so the deal of it is, as soon as they start that stuff, I don't even argue. And this is again, even when we, we're at your studio.
Take a picture of me and my son.
And of course our time was limited. And this is why one of the immediate things I did was go to a basic dictionary, with the brothers, share with the brother. Now to yourself, it's no big thing because you're awake. But to somebody who doesn't know, it's beautiful to sit there and watch someone who is neither here or there necessarily, a little bit interested, but really don't have reference points. And you can take them to the most basic, elementary reference points and show them who they are. How dare somebody say scholars who do deep research don't know that these people are Moors? Including the fact that as soon as you go into a dictionary, black is an adjective and not a noun. Third grade grammar tells you a noun, proper noun, person, place, thing, or idea. Adjective is a modifier. It describes, it does not identify. So when we're talking about basic parts of speech, third grade grammar. We ain't even talking about scholarship. Third grade grammar. So a scholar automatically knows when you look at the word black in the dictionary and right after it says adjective, you already know if someone's using this to describe people, because that's what it describes, it doesn't identify. That is pejorative. Pejorative means it's intended to be an insult. It has nothing to do with its identity, it has to do with it being pejorative. Now, just like if somebody called you coon, it's pejorative. You may accept that, but it's still pejorative. And then you say it long enough, and then everybody starts saying, well, the coons. Well, yeah, but that's not their identity. And what these so-called black scholars keep on trying to do, trying to say that it's an identity, and that it's an African origin identity of African peoples, that African peoples are black peoples. And that's bullshit, because it's a known factor with Frederick Johann Blumenbach, the naturalist, and Carlos Linnaeus, who's known as Carl Linnaeus, set up the phenotype systems, and this is where that code system comes from, of them applying it to Aboriginal people, to take them out of airship, to identify them as property. But it's really a tag, it's called nom de guerre. That's what a straw man is, it's a nom de guerre.
Is that how the Trading with the Enemy Act is in play?
Exactly, all of that stuff. Those things were put in place to regulate this platform, just like any institution, whether it's legitimate or corrupt, must have a level of stability to operate, even if something's corrupt. Now, so when they did the coup d'etat in 1861, when the Congress adjourned sine die, which was really a coup d'etat, the act of 1871 was really them constructing the platform for this stuff to operate. And what was the act of 70? What was the act? The act of Congress.
You don't know.
No, I'm asking him anyway. Because this is what we do. What the act of Congress, 1871. What was it, and what purpose did it serve? Don't make up anything, but I'm just saying. Now this is the point. Now, so what happens, he has a source, because that's his father. How much he listens to him, on one level, on another level, he may not. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, so any scholar knows that the Act of Congress, 1871, was the platform for the demon system called the U.S. democracy, where they secretly converted the republic into the democracy order in order to institutionalize slavery and back the U.S. corporation company debt with descendants of Moors who they branded black people, i.e. African Americans. 150 years ago, that's what the Pope Francis is telling everybody right now in the letter to Obama. Now, he may not know this, but a scholar knows this. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Now, if I was speaking to him as a scholar, you know what I mean, he may be missing a point here, but generally he would not be unfamiliar with it. Anybody who's talking about liberating the so-called black man in America and all that stuff, and the Black Liberation Front and all this bull crap, and then don't know about the coup d'etat of 61, which was set forth in order to institutionalize slavery, and they're marching and praying and rallying and raising funds and the blackness of the deepness of, they're full of crap. This is why nobody takes our people serious, because the world knows our real history. They just know that these people are miseducated and they follow behind these leader guys emotionally, not on facts. They don't deal with facts, they deal with belief systems. So when you deal with people who deal with belief systems, you can tell them any damn thing. And it changes from day to day. However they feel, however you're dressed, you know what I mean? Whatever sister's talking, how she look, that's what they believe in. Facts come along, they look at it as a competition. They don't look at it. They don't look at 2 and 2 as a mathematical fact.
My study said, "Be a leader, not a follower."
This is the reason why we must give facts. See, because facts have no bias. You understand what I'm saying to you? Now, the same thing that I just said, you can go right on your internet. Meaning that
Google University.
Scholars will deny this if it comes from us.
Yeah, that's that more stuff.
But they know that the people who are followers don't study. That's why they can get away with it. No different than if you know a little bit about banking, derivatives and everything, and somebody come in the so-called black community
Raising finance because we're going to have some stock options.
and you come telling them stock options, those are called derivatives. It's a black hole. You invest in it, you lost as soon as you did it. No, because I've been in banking for years and blah, blah, blah. They bullshit people who don't know anything about finances. But somebody knows finance, that'd be the very one that ain't gonna invest.
Yep.
But our people, they deal with emotions. And all they need to say is Jesus, God, Allah, Moses, Muhammad, or something like that, and then they in both pockets then. I'm serious. Give them their lunch money. And then let us pray type stuff. And it goes on forever and ever and ever. However, scholars, you can't, it's just like anything, how they used to say for years ago, fool a baker, get a bun, try to fool me, get none type of stuff, when we were growing up. It's the same thing where someone who's dealing with bakery stuff, bullshitting, talking about they don't know that donuts are made out of dough. And you see most of the masters sitting around there, they got biased opinions because they're following him. And they play into this argument. A scholar doesn't even entertain that because the scholar knows it's bullshit. But our miseducation in fundamentals is so deep and so ingrained that it's amazing that our people haven't woken up and stopped being sensitive as to why a lot of people from other jurisdictions don't like black people. They're looked at as traitors. They think it's complexion. They're looked at as hypocritical traitors. They get very reasonable as soon as you talk about some women and children on some island of Bitz Nitzeldorf that ain't Christian, and they out of a job for 2 weeks and they'll go in the army and go murder them to keep this man in power. They'll come back here and do their Negro marches and prayers because they're not recognized. Clock was done there, taken here.
But you know what's so funny? They make it seem like this is the real, this is not the real, this is not the real.
Walls that they were moving, and they were covering up a lot of
But this is like the old, basically like the old White House. Yep.
See, so Congress Hall served as the capital of the United States until 1800. So-called scholars who keep denying these things is found wanting by any other serious scholar.
All of our people come down here, right? And we don't even realize what's down here. We don't even realize this stuff. We walk past this all the time. Never know history about this.
About themselves.
Even when I was growing up, we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know. But Europeans would come there and do rituals around this statue. Art museum, they do rituals. Rituals around this also. Says you read it. It speaks about the Lenape in it. Right here. Lenape. But we walk past this every single day and don't even pay this no attention at all. Huh? And Ty's trying to check out the stones. Riding past and don't even know why we down here taking pictures, especially if you're black. That ain't gonna do with me. Europeans know. Yeah, that's what I said. Europeans know exactly what this is. They would come down here and burn sage around this whole joint and do a ritual in this particular area. And Europeans, they would, like I say, chant. And they would chant on the art museum on the parkway, on the parkway also. So a lot of this history is already here with us. I want to go down to I want to go down to the parkway too, show that history. This is the East Gate.
Yeah, East
so
Gate,
when you
West
watch
Gate.
when it's facing the East Gate.